New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev Briz and Rev Elzia and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And hello again, dear ones. Rev Briz with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Chit for Friday, December 22nd, 2023. So grateful that you are with us. Good morning, Michelle Wadley. Good to see you. Grateful you're with us. Feel free to join in the conversation as we go. Anyone watching, feel free to join in the conversation as we go. And see, we're going to start this week. I've just found this in the last few minutes. So we're going to start this week with a truly shitty story. Things got kind of interesting at LaGuardia Airport on Wednesday when a passenger's luggage was x-rayed going through security, and they found 17 bullets. They were wrapped in a diaper.
What?
They were wrapped in a diaper.
Was there a gun?
There was no gun. They found that it was all 9mm ammunition. TSA called it a new definition of a dirty diaper.
I love it.
The passenger, who's an Arkansas resident, initially said he didn't know how the disposable diaper filled with bullets got into his bag. He then suggested maybe his girlfriend put it there. They haven't released his name. 20-year-old passenger found with 17 bullets in an otherwise clean diaper. It was not.
Yeah, I'm going to make the statement that's always made when these kind of stories come out. You can't make this stuff up.
No. I will say that's some explosive shit, though.
Yeah. Yes. I don't get it. I don't get it on how could you not know that? I mean, unless somebody sets you up. Now, if his girlfriend, he says his girlfriend, maybe his girlfriend wants to get rid of him or wants to break up, and now she has a great excuse, you know.
Yeah.
And potentially that's a felony.
Oh yeah.
And
he was arrested, and his name has not been released.
Wow. I mean, when we look at the landscape, right, and I want to just right now give a moment of silence and prayer to all of the students and individuals over in Czech Republic at Prague University that were killed or injured yesterday. There were 10, I don't know if they're all students or not, but there were 10 individuals who lost their lives, another 24 who were injured. Of that 24, 10 are in critical condition. Some of the pictures are kind of harrowing because they show kids hanging on the side of a tall building on the really edge of the building. I mean, really, really kind of, spectacular from the photo perspective. And when a 24-year-old kid, they say it's the worst thing over in Europe in decade or so.
Yeah.
And just making point of that in terms of these guns, I mean, the bullets, I mean, stop making bullets. How about that? You can have all the guns you want. I guess other people can make their bullets, but you can track that because you're gonna have to get a large gunpowder. But just stop making bullets. The guns won't be any good.
I would agree with that. And yes, heart does go out to everyone affected by this story in Prague. And they say the young man who did take his life committed suicide during this attack. Also had killed his father earlier in the day. They actually, and it sounds like it was such a fluid event that authorities knew what was about to happen, knew that he had a 2:00 lecture that he was to be attending, and knew that he was heavily armed and had taken a train from his hometown where he killed his father to the university. And so a number of lives, I have to believe, are saved by all of this. And I don't like to admit it, but the first thing that struck me when I heard this was, oh, great. The United States now has a new export. We are now exporting
crazy
commando style attacks on. I really don't like it that the newspaper called the school a soft target. Why are we referring to every building as a target? That's just some metaphysical thought for you there, folks. But
yeah.
But have we, as a country, is this one of our next great import? Is single person shooters who can get their hands on a lot? They said this kid had a lot of guns.
Yeah.
And could have done
24.
At 24, and could have done a lot more damage. So
wow.
Once again,
I just gonna say, it's interesting that, and I know there's a lot that'll disagree with me, but we still make a lot of commando games and movies, and yeah, they can be entertaining. And if they're in a documentary form, I just watched a documentary on World War II. They can be informative, but they are very suggestive to young minds who cannot put this stuff in perspective based on where we have traversed in terms of how we can speak, what books can be published, what things can be taught in school. And then we create individuals who have unclear or holistic, if you will, information, and then they go off.
Right. Yep. Hey, speaking of going off, ex-President Trump's on tape yesterday going off on a couple of Michigan, a couple of folks in Michigan that wanted to certify the vote total. The article I read sounds like he, in normal style, pretty much bullied these folks into not certifying the vote in Michigan. CNN's reporting Trump recording pressured Michigan canvassers not to certify the 2020 vote. I haven't heard the recording yet.
So this is going to be another case about voter tampering, or
I think this is going to end up being evidence towards the insurrection claims. It's really hard to say. It seems like there's so much evidence about what this guy did to try to deny the election, in his denial of the election. But it is all turned into some good news, because 3 cheers for the state of Colorado. I know I felt a little proud when I woke up earlier this week. Colorado State Supreme Court has ruled that Donald J. Trump cannot appear on the primary ballot here in the state of Colorado due to his ties to the insurrection.
Yeah.
Which feels like a win. but also, could cause a couple of monkey wrenches to be thrown into the system.
Some very big monkey wrenches, because as I understand, I know there's several other states. I've heard different numbers. I've heard 12 other states, then I've heard as many as 25 other states are seeking to do the same thing. Um,
Yep.
and of course, this is going to go to the Supreme Court, which is in recess right now, so it's not going to hit until January when you get it on the docket. And it's a slippery slope, because people who are diehard mega fans, right, are going to be totally upset and could push a few people over the edge.
Yep. There's already rumors swirling here that the the GOP in Colorado will move away from a primary system and move to a caucus system.
Get out. Get out.
Thereby bypassing this entire law, this entire ruling. That's fine. We won't have a primary then. And it feels a little childish in that regard. Like, okay, well then screw you. We won't have a primary. We'll just do a caucus, and we're still gonna.
Wow. This is scary.
I don't understand the hold this man has.
It's scary to think that people on the left and the right, will call them these other names what you want, liberal, progressive, woke, conservative. I mean, okay, it's just another way of trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do. But when we have gotten to the point where to circumvent the government and laws, and okay, we can come up with a whole bunch of things about the government, but let's just say for right now that it is a decent working system with some flaws, but it works decently. But when we can get a group of people to start saying, well, we're not going to do this anymore because it doesn't suit us, we're going to do this, just to begin to circumvent or to undermine the system, gets to be a monumental problem, because at some point nobody is going to respect the law or the rules of engagement or the way of putting people in office, and we will step into a no man's land.
Yeah. I think about this time of the year, kids are home from school and families are together, and a lot more of us are out there or playing board games in the evenings and stuff like that. And if I tried to rewrite the rules of Monopoly, and I tried, believe me, and my family is just like, no, you can't do that. That ain't, you can't do that. That's not how it works. And yet it would appear that we are living in a society where that's just the norm. Okay, I don't like the outcome, I'm going to rewrite the rules.
Yeah.
And specifically in our political arena, and come on, folks, it's not like we can live without politics. I don't know that's possible. So it's a necessary part of the human experience to deal with and wrestle with these questions. But when the prevalent belief system is, that's okay, we'll just rewrite the rules.
But then what's going to stop me from saying, well, I got a couple of rules I want to rewrite, right? And fair enough. Within the system, there's ways of doing that through the legislative process, right?
Right.
But not in a disruptive takeover kind of approach.
It's the avoidance model.
Right.
Do what we want and change the rules later.
Right.
Maybe that's what got Giuliani in so much trouble. We've been talking about this one too, folks, that Rudy Giuliani seems to be playing right out of the playbook of Alex Jones and Donald Trump. he's been convicted and now and ordered to pay millions of dollars. And instead of making restitution for his missteps, we'll call them, now his slime baggery, I want to call it. Excuse me. Maybe I shouldn't call him that. But he's charged. He's found guilty. He's told to make restitution. And he says, screw you. I'm going to claim bankruptcy instead.
Yeah. Same thing Alex Jones did.
Same thing Alex Jones did. And they come to find out that Alex Jones was hiding his money. So, right, is Giuliani not doing the same? What are the chances the man's hiding money somewhere and claiming, what did you say it was? $500,000 bankruptcy?
Yeah. They say old credit is $500 million, $500 million. Yeah.
Can we have a sit down with the banks?
The creditors, I'm telling you, they ain't gonna loan me no $500 million before they come calling. I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly.
Because actually, if they would have loaned me $500 million, I think I could turn it into $1 billion. You know, I think I could do that real easily. But I'll never get to that limit because that's not how that game is played. And so, again, we have now set up a system. We talked a little bit about this earlier. And I would love to hear those that are on right now and maybe those who come later about how we've allowed the system to be circumvented. I'll put it there, right? And as everyone may know or have heard, that Norman Lear passed away. It's like 100, I think, 102 maybe, that had some great programs, Maude and All in the Family, the Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, some good programs that came out in the 70s that were able to highlight some of the social issues and things that were faced with in the society at time, and do them in a way that was somewhat humorous, if you will, and gave you an insight into how things work and what things could be done to kind of bridge a divide. Well, I was listening to a program the other day, and it was talking about, because of the way the society is now, and they're saying if you get real material, you're woke, right? Those programs that he made could not be made today. Archie Bunker and Sanford, Fred Sanford, the language and the highlights of things, you couldn't do that today. It wouldn't even get off the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, we can put a bunch of guns on.
Everybody can have a shoot 'em up. Yeah, every city, any city -PD coming to ABC this season or whatever. Yeah, I hear you. It's interesting you bring that up because in the last, just a handful of days, the name John Schneider keeps ringing up in my newsfeed. Now, if people don't remember who John Schneider is, he was a good-looking young man in the Dukes of Hazzard. He was Bo Duke. And he got into a little bit of a shouting match with TV Land when they eventually took the Dukes of Hazzard off of the air because of its fairly blatant white supremacy motif, and having a Confederate flag on a car flying through the air every week didn't look good for TV Land anymore. So regardless of the question of heritage or bigotry or whatever we want to call it, John recently had a little bit of a resurgence in fame as on The Masked Singer, and finished his second on The Masked Singer as a country western singer. And somehow he's ended up in my feed. And I started to watch a couple of videos by him and a couple of things. And he's trying to leverage his past fame on the Dukes of Hazzard by talking about, the Dukes and different things that happen. But then it comes across my feed that he left a comment on a post that Joe Biden made that said, "I believe you, sir, are guilty of treason and should be hung."
What?
And said the same about Hunter Biden.
I don't know what happens nowadays, but that used to be a crime.
Well, normally I would think he got a visit from the Secret Service because you don't respond directly back to Joe's own post saying, "Yeah, I think you should be hung." It's a grammar specialist replied, "It's hanged, John."
But and I'm speechless. We have eroded. I mean, not that didn't have some erosion before, but I think our system of government has now eroded so much that we need some people who are coming up now, some of the younger people. We need them to really go and study history. We need to get them to really understand the psychology and sociology of mass crowds and to really look at our laws and system that we have, because we can't keep going this way. I mean, let's just think about, like now we talk about Trump. What happens with 25 states say we're not going to put him on the ballot? That's half the country.
Right.
Right.
So that leads to armed insurrection, if you ask me. I don't like saying it, but the MAGA Republicans have already proven that they will stand up and, hey, you got one insurrection under your belt. Let's time for the greatest hits album. Let's do it again. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. I mean, and so I guess, I mean, if, and see, I guess for me, if the law, I know something with the 14th Amendment that they're looking at that says if you are involved in an insurrection of the government, that you are not eligible to be a part of the election process, right? Correct. So now that's going to push, if you will, if this happens and he comes out, we're going to have a Nikki Haley and a Ron DeSantis battle. Now, all things being equal, right? If Nikki Haley went up against Biden, I don't think Biden will win. I don't. I mean, first she has to garner, because I think she's a better candidate. I'm not a Republican, but I think she's a better candidate than DeSantis in a lot of ways, right? There's no politician that will ever get up there, Republican or Democrat, that's not have chinks in the armor, right? But if I'm looking truly and honestly at the Republican tickets that they're trying to put together now, of the people there, Christie wouldn't be bad, but I don't know if he's going to garner enough support.
According to The Hill, on a December 5th article, Haley leads Biden by 4 points. Now that's down from the same poll in November where The Hill reported Biden trailing by 10 points. So that's down. But perhaps we're seeing, this question struck me before. Is it time for a new constitutional convention?
Yeah.
we see governments change on the global scale all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Are we in the midst of that, and some see it and others aren't? Are we in the midst of that and it's just not prevalent enough? Do we need another insurrection to show us that there is truly a great divide in the way the American people think, and how we and there's truly no vision on how to move forward. There
Well,
is a vision about going back to what was.
Yes.
And that vision,
Yes.
The MAGA right holds that vision pretty strongly about. They're kind of misguided, in my opinion, but they have a vision of what they want to go back to.
We have that issue that potentially right now could be used as a catalyst to start looking at how do we deal with the Constitution. The whole immigration thing going on right now.
Yeah.
Right. They said the other day at the Texas border, I don't know if it was only at the Texas border or all the borders, but there were more people and more immigrants trying to get into the country on that day than any other time ever recorded, right? Now, we also know here in Colorado that I think it's just yesterday, we got 3 bus loads of new
10.
immigrants. 10. Oh my goodness. I thought it was 3. We got 10.
And that was just yesterday. That puts us just over a total of 100 busloads of, and we want to be really clear here, folks, right? These are people. They're fleeing an oppressive government in Venezuela. The majority of these folks are all Venezuelan. They're fleeing an oppressive government in Venezuela. And the United States, every city in the country seems to be spending all kinds of money just pushing these people around by bus. Texas is sending them to Denver, and Denver's caught 100 buses in the past month. But we've also sent, I couldn't get a number of buses, but we've spent over $1.5 million busing those people to other cities, putting them on buses to go somewhere else.
So we're playing hot potato.
And New York is dealing with this in one of the biggest ways, because once they get to New York, it's a little easier for them to start the asylum process. And once somebody has started the asylum process, they can't move.
Yeah.
But you also aren't allowed to work while you're in the asylum process. So these people have no resources. And when I was a kid, I thought this kind of shit only happened in Africa. Because I would see, when I was a younger man, you would see photos and images of migrant camps on the borders of African countries as people move from migrant camp to migrant camp. Well, we've got migrant camps all over America. I think we're misclassifying them as homeless and treating them as a mental health concern rather than a humanitarian crisis. That we're the great melting pot, right?
And imagine this. Here's the rub, right? In my opinion, or one of the rubs. I mean, there's a bunch of rubs, but here's one of them: is that let's just take Denver. You send 100 buses. Let's say each bus holds at least 30 people. Probably holds more. So now you've just dumped that many people, 3,000, right? If my math correct, on a system that is having difficulty right now dealing with the homeless population and the those who aren't able to get a good meal. You just dump that the governor here in Denver, at least, is trying to work to try to get it. I forget the number. He's trying to get a lot of houses, a lot of homeless in housing by the end of the year. Now, you only got a couple more days. And so far, I think he's doing a decent job at it. Might not be the best. Definitely not going to please everybody. But now you just dump another 3,000 on that. So that's going to tax the system, all of it: housing, food, law enforcement, legal system, social service system, all these things that people are going to be needing or trying to get their representation in to move forward. And so now, as opposed to the states, the federal government, uh, hopefully, but if not, states begin to working together and say, look, whether we want them here or not, they're here. Let's figure out a way. Look, I can take 5 busloads. I can't take 10.
Right.
Right. And let's figure out a way. We hear all the time now, and I mean, it ain't the best. People gonna start talking about slave labor, but put people to work some kind of way. Figure out a system. And I mean, again, that's problematic, right? Because now you say you're taking jobs from good Americans, but we can't just keep moving the hot potato, which is people, by the way, not really a potato, and try to skirt the issue of dealing with humanity, right? Dealing with how do we go back to our cornerstone, how do we create a world that works for all?
Right. And I think, and that requires, I don't want to say broad strokes, but it requires some expediency. My understanding is if you're a migrant, if you're seeking political asylum, which the majority of these people claim, number one, it's not that easy to prove that you're eligible for political asylum.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not adjudicating any of this. People are coming in, we're putting them on buses, we're shipping them around, and we're telling them it could be up to 3 years before what am I supposed to do for 3 years to find out whether I'm allowed to stay here or not, when it is also illegal for me to work? Yeah. So it is therefore illegal for someone to hire these people. And we're starting to hear stories of unscrupulous operators taking advantage of migrants and not telling them this, putting them to work, and then firing and then not paying them for whatever work they've done, because what are they going to do? These people are afraid to go to the authorities. They're afraid they're going to be deported. They don't know what's going on. Our immigration system, yes, is broken. And it's funny to me that the things we fight about when what wants to be accomplished is sitting on our front door.
Yeah.
Or our southern border, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah. And I think we have to get back in all of this stuff that we've talked about this morning. I think one of the roots that will help us begin to switch, we have to get back to understanding that we are all part of this family called humanity.
Yeah.
And because a person speaks a different language or looks different or has a different color or whatever other category we use to divide people, it's fictitious. It's made up. I mean, yes, it informs us of some things, but it doesn't inform us about the important things. If I needed a heart transplant, I don't care if that person speaks English, Spanish, Russian. I don't care. If both of us happen to be in a situation where I was able to receive a heart transplant and they had one that would fit the job, I'm not going
to ask them who they voted for in 2024. I'm not going to ask them. The only question you got is, does the blood type match, right?
That's all.
Are we good on the blood? All right, make it happen.
and we can't seem to understand that should be at the cornerstone of making decisions is humanity and the family of mankind, and how do we begin to implement laws and policies that support life, support basic I mean, think about all of the immigrants that have the next Einstein in there, or the next person who's going to figure out the mathematics to get us to the Mars quicker or safer, or return on a better trip, right? But because they're coming from a not so joyous background, if you will, we discount them.
Yeah. Yeah. We discount them, we ignore them, and we can change that.
Without a doubt.
That's to me, that's the big point, is if we can bring some attention to these issues, the people of New Thought, the people that live in the world of positivity, we can change this.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that is putting in some volunteer hours with another organization that's trying to help this population, or whether it's just heading down to your local Venezuelan migrant camp and feeding them some holiday cheer and giving them, find out what they do need.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what these people need in the short term. They need housing in the short term. They need a way to be able to earn a living in the short term as they're and we need a more expedited system to be able to say, hey, yes, you're eligible, you can stay, and no, we're sorry, but you're not eligible for political asylum and you need to come back and enter in a different way. It's
Yeah.
and and it isn't just us, because Mexico is dealing with this too.
Yeah.
And we're not really partnering with Mexico on this. We're just deporting people back through the gate, through all right, back across the bridge to Mexico. And what happens there, we seem not to care as I think this country once did.
No. And we were talking about, some of these guys are hanging around for 3 years, right? Okay. And if people want to get an understanding of what 3 years like, just think about COVID, because COVID is just now winding down. It's been about 3-4 years, right, of COVID, and the ramifications of it. And I think one thing should excite everybody, and I don't care what side of the fence you're on. COVID, in that 3-year period, has highlighted all of the systems that we have in our country and in our government are either broken, flawed, or corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't like it, if we want to change it, especially those of a high-mindedness, I won't use that other word they used, that they discounted that W word, so I won't even use that one. But those who are high-minded and globally conscious can begin to get involved and make changes. Everything from helping someone to running for office, to getting on the school board, to a number of different things that can be done to begin to shine more light on some of the issues and begin to highlight how we can resolve it. Not just shine the light on the problem, but also come up with ways to resolve it, and being able and willing to get involved to do whatever it is that you are willing and can do to make it happen.
Yep, exactly. Our friend Abe from New Mexico shares, we don't really know what we're praying for sometimes when we treat for a world that works for everyone. Could be a lot of weird things like the collapse of our system, which is what it looks like we're headed towards at times.
Well, yeah, and that's part of creation. we don't always know, right? We try to create an environment for the best thing to happen, and then we let it go.
And I think it's important to be aware of this. And as Z is saying, now is the time to start getting involved, because yes, I think most systems within a lot of systems are collapsing, are in the midst of the collapse, and we don't always recognize it, as I kind of said earlier. But now is the time to get involved so that we can be part of the reconstruction. Mm-hmm. So that the voice of the New Thought movement and the voice of positivity and the revelations that our communities have had over decades now can be put to use.
Right.
See, we throw that term around. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Well, but what we've been waiting for is people that are going to stand up and do the work and take a stand. And just as you say, get on a school board or get on a city council or serve in some community voice activist type of organization or council or committee with your local or regional or national politics. Get involved with national politics if that's what is calling you. But we are the ones that are going to reconstruct what is proving to be a failed experiment.
Right. There's a saying in the African American community that says, we may have come over here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat right now.
Yeah.
And either we start rowing together in the same direction and we all start patching and putting patchwork on all the holes, or we're going to go round and round in circles and eventually sink, right?
Yep.
And we can come up with all kind of excuses of why you don't want to patch or why you don't want to row or why you don't want to hoist the sail. But just know at the end of the day, that boat is going to sink, right? And quite frankly, when we look at the history and evolution of the planet, at a scientific level, we know that entropy, any system, all systems, including this system called me, will eventually disintegrate.
Yes.
Right. And according to spiritual teachings, I believe it'll be like the phoenix. It will rise again. However that is, we won't go into that. But that is the law of the land. Everything goes through this cycling of entropy, if you will. So since we know that, let's begin to set up systems and people and places to just pick up where that thing falls and carry on to the next level of the evolutionary process of life.
Yes. Amen. Well, folks, you've done it. You've stayed with us. And as we say almost every week, I don't think we're here to solve any of these problems other than to get involved in bring the consciousness and bring what we know and what we believe into the world of form as it is today.
Yeah.
And these questions, these conversations are not exempt from what we talk about in New Thought. There is nothing outside the box. There is nothing exempt from these conversations because they all create the human condition. And that is what we're doing. We are living the human condition inside a realm of spiritual laws.
Yeah.
And those are not laws that we can just choose to ignore. I'm not going to play by that law any longer.
You can, but there's detrimental effects.
Yes. All right. So we're going to wrap it up here, folks. Thanks for being with us. Do stay tuned to New Thought Media Network throughout the day. We have our full day of broadcasting. Get Rich 101 with Sekou Wright starts in just a couple of minutes. 8:15, it's the morning prayers. 8:30, it's the morning sip with Rev Elzia. 9 o'clock, Emma Moreno with Spanish language programming. And 9:30, our Spanish language prayer program. Lindsay Lembach with Practicing Infinite Possibilities is at 10. The Joy Show with Rev B is at 1 o'clock. I'll be back at 5 with the good news. And 6 o'clock is the Fireside Chat with Reverend Michael Mangus. So we've got a great day in store for you, and we hope you stay with us. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here on the New Thought Media Network. And until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.